What's up, guys, and welcome to the FPL WildCats Live. Thank you for joining us this Tuesday evening, and we are here to discuss wildcard successes, wildcard failures, and potentially some other good and bad moves made for Game Week 31. So before I pass over to Nim, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And Nim, take it away.
Yeah, thanks Jay, and welcome everyone to the stream. Hope you're all well. Well, Kurt was meant to be off playing football tonight, which is why he isn't on the thumbnail, but he did so well that he wanted to come on here and brag about captaining Jesse Lingard, so here he is. I think he just, he rang the lads up and said, I'm too famous now, lads, can't come to football, sorry, Captain Jesse Lingard.
Anyway.
The only way. So yeah, with all of that, let's take a look at how we got on in Game Week 31, and go on then, Kurt, you can kick us off, seeing as you did so well.
I captain Jesse Lingard.
You done, yeah?
Okay.
Next. I mean, I'm genuinely being serious. That is my team. Yeah.
I mean, if you are done, let me know, because then I can change the screen.
No, I'm captain Jesse Lingard. I got 66 points. I got that right. The disappointing thing is that I don't quite know how someone that runs a game for 60 odd minutes gets 2 bonus points, and someone that pops up at the end with 2 consolation goals gets 3 bonus points. But that's the only thing I sort of missed out on. He ended up on 14 to 15. Iheanacho also in there playing, got 13 points. I've kept Ollie Watkins around, and he seems to be this relatively consistent player I can rely upon, just having as like first up on the bench or in the attack when I feel like games are going to go Villa's way. Also had Son, so that's not a bad result. The only negative is that, well, that's a massive positive. I didn't use my wild card. I've still got that in the bag. I've still got my triple captain in the bag, but with Cresswell injured, it may force my hand maybe after this week. Because obviously that's now a big money player effectively that I'm not getting points from, not starting. So apart from that, obviously he come off. If he could have lasted an extra few minutes, come off around 61st minute, he gets the clean sheet, and then they can score the goals they want. Obviously Azpilicueta and Chelsea conceding again against what has to be one of the worst teams I've ever seen in the Premier League, barring Sheffield United. And yeah, just nothing from Fernandes, so he's being sold. That's all I can say, really. I'm just I captain Jesse Lingard.
Yeah, it made a big difference to your points there, didn't it? So yeah, that's cool. Okay then, I will hand on over to Jay. I'll let you go next, buddy.
Okay, well, I didn't have Jesse Lingard, so I'm nowhere near as happy as Kurt is. I did get 57 points off of my wildcard. It started off the game week, pretty negatively, with Neto playing 32 minutes and then picking up an injury, and he's now out for the rest of the season. So that's immediately a player that is an issue for me in this side. Yesterday he was just as flagged up as a warning, but now it's been confirmed he's not playing this season. And to be honest, if I hadn't put Bruno Fernandes in, I would have had Lingard. And then had I played some of my bench players, we could have been looking at a much better first game week after the wildcard. But happy with Salah getting some points, Trent coming through. Got Iheanacho in, which was important, because if I didn't have him in, it could have been a very negative game week. And apart from the Neto issue, I'm set for game week 32. Probably won't use the transfer, just put Neto on the bench and see what Vidra or maybe even Veltman can do. But I'm happy to just have changed my side and see the momentum kind of shift to a green arrow, because I've been getting quite a few red arrows recently. So yeah, hopefully the momentum carries on and we can start pushing for that top 100k.
To Brett then, who didn't wildcard last week.
Yeah, not a good week, unfortunately. It was kind of one of those weeks, like, I know in football anything can happen, so when you play FPL, you try and use logic, but logic doesn't always work. So yeah, I'd seen a couple of weeks before that both Leeds and Villa were going to be playing Liverpool and City this week, so I kind of thought, oh well, I can bench them for that one. So obviously bench Dallas, So that was quite painful. And I sold Watkins as well. So that was a big swing of points, really, to bench Dallas, bench Bamford, sell Watkins. A bit annoying because Watkins only had 1 goal in the last 8 games since I bought him. You know? So now it's typical that I probably sold him before a purple patch now. But just looking at those fixtures, I thought, without Grealish, he probably won't score much. And yeah, brought in Vardy. I tried something a bit different this week, really, just to try and jump up the ranks. It seemed like a good week to try and go for a differential captain. I looked at West Ham stats, the last couple of games. They were conceding lots of shots inside the box. So fancy them to concede a few goals, but Vardy didn't deliver, unfortunately, so captaincy blank. Obviously weighed up the hit for Lingard all week. It was between him and Jota. I brought in Jota and, Lingard punished again. So, yeah, it was a complete disaster until Monday night. And Johnston got a 15-pointer just to kind of salvage. Well, I was on 27 points, I was ready to give up on the season, really. But Johnston kind of made it a bit more respectable. So 15 points from him softened the red arrow a little bit. And yeah, obviously Vardy over Iheanacho was a stupid move, really, for double the price. But hopefully he can deliver in the next game.
Is that all your chips, Brett? Sorry.
No, I got the free hit for game week 33. So I'm going to have the Spurs for the double game week now in 32, Son and Kane. I'll probably then, because they blank in 33, I'll free hit that week because I've got Diaz as well. So there's 3 players blanking that week. Some nice fixtures in 33, I think, for the free hits. I think Leicester have got Palace at home, maybe. Liverpool at home to Newcastle. And Aston Villa at home to West Brom. There's some nice fixtures to target there for the free hit in 33. And then in 34, when my old team comes back, I'll have Son and Kane against Sheffield United, I think. So saves me a headache, really, for the Son and Kane double up. So I'll just free hit in 33 and hopefully gain some points there.
Yeah, fair. Okay, so Ray then, who used his wild card?
It went fortunately as well as it could for me. I feel I got the 5 right in midfield. The West Ham Leicester game was obviously extremely fun for me, just watching it, enjoying it. And fortunately, a 40k rise got me into the top 50k, which is good. So I've got no more chips left. So really, my whole wild card was, of course, about the next couple of games, but trying to be agile, if I need to move around some players and, keep an eye out on some assets that will be coming back, i.e. Grealish, i.e. Maddison. So yeah, it went really well. I think Salah was always a safe captain choice for myself. The idea was, get a green arrow and hopefully make some climbs, and luckily it went really well. My biggest, if you like, headache was, should I go for Trent or should I get Phillips and then use the money accordingly? But so when Trent scored the goal, I, of course, just ran around the house as if it was an Arsenal goal. And
You ran around the house and I threw a hissy fit.
Nah, not at all. Don't be silly. FPL is serious to all of us. That's why we plug in hours and hours of content. So yeah, if you're not emotional about it, then you shouldn't be playing when you put this many hours. So it's all good.
Passion, man. Passion.
The thing that worries me slightly is I think my Chelsea double up might kind of come back to haunt me, because after the next couple of games, Chelsea don't really have a good run on paper, at least. So potentially Rudiger could come out. I really don't like the way Tottenham are playing. So I will take out Son for that blank and probably bring in Maddison, or let's see what happens with Grealish. And then I might not go back to Son, because the way Tottenham are playing right now, I feel is just so bad. So bad. You got to have Kane, and potentially you can just survive on Kane. But let's see. My target was always top 100k this season. So if I'm in the top 50, obviously it will be a result. So onwards and upwards.
Can't complain with that, can you? Brilliant. Well done, mate.
Cheers.
I had a roller coaster weekend. I think it's fairly safe to say that. I didn't use my wild card after all, and anyone who was here last game week will know that I was kind of umming and ahhing about using it. So I was kind of prepared for a bad game week, because obviously there were a lot of wildcarders last week. And on Saturday, it was incredibly bleak. it was looking quite bad for me. Martinez with his 4 points was a nice surprise. Did consider Sanchez, but I was sure DCL would score, so I left Emmy in for the save point, and then DCL didn't play, so could have had 2 more points for Sanchez after all. My defence was an absolute mess against Soufal, the only one really doing anything in my starting 11 for the second week in a row, getting me an assist, so can't complain. In fact, as the lads have touched upon, it's probably just easier to say if that Leicester versus West Ham match didn't happen the way it did, with myself having Soufal, Jesse and Nacho, I'd have been stuffed, really. Saturday night, I was so annoyed with myself. I was beating myself up badly. In fact, I don't remember being that annoyed ever with like my decisions in FPL for a long, long time. Like it really got to me. But Sunday absolutely saved my bacon. Sonny's goal pulled it back for me, and then that whole match with Leicester West Ham just pretty much got the majority of my points. So I got 55 points, so 51 after all my -4, which was Jota and Nacho in, and then I captained Jota. Small green arrow. It could have been much, much bigger had I have played Dallas. So kind of kicking myself on that one, although,
who's going to play Dallas?
Against one of the best.
No one's going to play him.
Exactly. Against one of the best defences in the league. I mean, I just didn't even really cross my mind considering the other fixtures that the other ones had. So, but what's more frustratingly, had DCL have played, then I would have been 50,000 places higher, because that's how much I lost in auto subs last night. Yep. So that was really frustrating, really, really annoying, because I had actually edged my way into the 300k, which, was like, wow for me, considering, I've crawled my way back pretty much from the million, the 3 million club. So bit frustrating that. Wasn't expecting him not to play, had not heard any prior news to that. And of course, then lots of people got lots of 6 points and Dallas.
The DCL unavailability boosted the top 10k average to 53 points from 43.
Wow.
Just from DCL not being available, because they had a lot of Dallas's as first sub coming off. I mean, it lost me 10k because I was up to about 37, but just that, the moment DCL was unavailable, I was like, I bet loads of bloody people are going to get Dallas off the bench.
Exactly.
And they did. But that's a huge average jump, isn't it?
That's massive.
10 whole points.
And I just sit here and I think, when am I getting some of that jam? I'd like some strawberry jam my direction, please. Thank you. Rafinha couldn't have just decided to be injured before his match. Considering as Antonio was my first sub and he was getting nowhere near the pitch anyway. So literally, anyone in midfield just having the day off. In fact, anyone at all, he would have gone in. Never mind. It is what it is.
You have an idea of when you'll play your wildcard?
Yeah, so I'm assuming we'll know a bit more about the blanks and doubles now after this coming week, isn't that right? Because we'll have, is it FA Cup this weekend? Is that right? And then do we have Champions League next week? Because I know we've got a lot of Premier League games.
We have the League Cup final the week after.
The League Cup final the week after. So it's tough, because I am in the situation now where I'm thinking, do I just do it and get the team that I should have had last week effectively? But with a -4, I can get Salah in my team, or I don't even have to spend a -4 to get Trent in my team. And then again, I'm that's the thing, I'm not far off what a lot of people have already got again. So really, I'm wildcarding for four players, really 4, maybe 5 players at the most. So I'm kind of wondering.
But we don't have a lot of games left though, as well.
Yeah,
isn't it?
exactly.
We only have 7 games.
Yeah, I know. I'm kind of, because I've got the bench boost, I think I'm trying to think a bit more with when we know the double game week, I will wildcard and get set up for 15 for that. And then, so I think if I didn't have the bench boost, I'd just hit and I'd just not worry about it and go for it. But I think because I've still got the bench boost, I think there might be a bit of an advantage to be had there with it. My biggest thing is I just need a little bit of extra cash if I'm going Salah, and I'm not sure whether I steal that cash from moving Aspilicueta down to Rudiger, but do I want to stick on Chelsea defence? Should I maybe just go Cody or somebody like that instead? Or do I steal it from up front from Antonio and go to Avidra? So that's kind of where I'm at this week. If I don't want to take the hit, then I can just move literally any one of my defenders onto Trent effectively because I've got 6 million in the bank. So I did consider going Lucas Moura, having a bit of a punt on an extra Spurs double player, but then I was like, nah, you know, it's a transfer waiting to happen, you know. So yeah. Honestly, I don't know, Ray. I feel like I've missed the boat with the wildcard, so now I guess I'll just wait for a week where it feels right. And this weirdly again doesn't feel like it's the right the right week. Yeah.
Also, sorry.
No,
hold it up. Also,
it's all good.
the advantage of holding on to it is, you know, Man City could get knocked out tomorrow. If they get knocked out tomorrow, you bet your ass I want to bring in City players.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's where the advantage comes in for you, because you could obviously wildcard, let's say, in 34. No point doing it for the blank, in my opinion.
No.
And then bench boost the week after, and you could just have an absolutely stacked squad.
Yeah.
Because I could see Dortmund beating City tomorrow, because I just think City have this mental hump in the quarterfinals of Champions Leagues.
Yeah.
So if they get knocked out, you know KDB is going to play every game. Gundogan, I think, is going to play every game, and Diaz is going to play every game. And then I'll look to bring him back in, because that was my worry. When I wildcarded, I have no City assets, and there's something quite refreshing about not having City assets, because you don't have to have that mental stress.
Yeah, that
because I was watching the game, I'm like, oh, I'm good. I'm just, you know, hands up, just relaxing.
No, it's fine though when they don't do anything and you're like, I'm good. It's when you don't have them and they go nuts, then you're like, oh, mate.
I mean, KDB always makes me pee my pants when I don't have him. But but I think it could turn out to be a huge advantage, should results in actually Europe go for you, which is basically Man City being knocked out. And then, you know, everyone's going to pile into KDB and Diaz and Gundo.
Yeah, so I'm kind of hoping this week champs, then the FA Cup. I'm hoping by next week we have a bit more of an idea of what's going on, and then I can sit down and try and kind of plan my last couple of game weeks out. And you know what? I feel like maybe I could be a lot higher now if I play things a little bit differently, but on the same hand, I feel kind of proud that I've managed to drag myself up this far this season, because it has been a tough slog, literally, it really has. And yeah, I feel like anything from here is a bonus, really. On Sun, so triple captain on Sun, completely stupid move or a great differential. So, first of all, are any of us thinking about captaining Sun over Kane before we kind of talk about triple captain? So Ray's already no.
Ignore me for now. I'm trying to fix audio.
Okay, cool. So go on then, Ray. Chat us through your no.
So I actually did a little bit of research for the questions today. So I have some stats I'll share in a minute.
I feel like we need a funky sound effect from Kurt, but he's too busy stuffing his face.
Yeah, like a fart noise or something. Yeah.
Like an alarm for the fact that you did some research.
Right. Now that I can actually fix Zoom, I can actually start showing some value to this thing. For me, I just want to kind of contain my positioning. I'm, you know, the guy who's ahead of me in one of my cash leagues. He's like 10k in the world or something like that, and he has Kane, and I know he's going to triple captain him because that's the only card, that's the only chip he has left. So for me, I just want to maintain my position. So if I was extremely chasing, maybe I'd put it on Son, but I mean, Son's stats, I think Aurier's had more shots than Son in the last 4 games. I read something on, you know, with couple of the fantasy things I'm part of. So I would go Kane strictly. And could I answer his question? I'm going to answer his question as well. So he said triple captain in Son, and I'm going to say no. And the reason is in the top 10K, over 72% have already used the the triple captain chip. And overall, just over 55% have used the triple captain chip, and possibly loads of those are like zombie teams. So I feel triple captaining Kane is not I don't think it's such a safe move, if you like, because a lot of people still don't have that chip left. So if I had the chip, I don't know why I'm saying card, sorry. If I had the chip, whatever position I'd be on, I'd triple captain Kane if I was going to use it. I think this is the week to use it. I think Everton, it's getting to that point of the season where they could potentially be qualifying for Europe, but it seems they're having this mental block. And also Southampton looks shocking defensively. So if I still held on to the card, the chip, sorry, I'm an idiot. If I held on to the chip, I'd use it now, and I'd use it with Kane. I wouldn't even think about it. And usually when I have that kind of mental decision of I'm going to use it now, usually Touchwood kind of works in FPL for me this season. Mm-hmm. So Harry Kane with a bullet, I wouldn't even think about it now.
Ray?
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Sorry, Nan, just a quick question for Ray. With this research, just out of curiosity, through what game weeks was that measured?
The whole season, pal.
Okay.
Yeah, so it had filters. It was livefpl.net, which I think the guy's absolutely incredible. Yeah. They had different game weeks and stuff, and then I just filtered the whole season. And that's what the stats are.
Okay, thank you.
So, Brett, I know in our little Welsh group, there's some talk about captaining Son. Yeah. And I just want to get your kind of thought process on it, really, because I know there's kind of some thought process that maybe he could get rested, right? Because they have a big match. So could he possibly be rested for one of those games? Is that putting a bit of doubt in some people's minds for captaincy? But mostly, I think the Son thing is for chasing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, it's always speculation, if a player gets rested. I can understand the worry because, like you say, they do have a cup final against City, and we know how desperate Spurs are for a cup. Mourinho will be, and Spurs, more than many teams, really want silverware, But at the same time, if I was guessing personally, I'm not worried about Son or Kane getting rested. It just from me. Of course, it can happen. I just think Mourinho's not a manager that likes to rest his best players. If they're fit, he'll play them. That's just my opinion, especially Son and Kane, because they're still trying to chase top four as well. There's still an outside chance they can get it, with 7-8 games to go, whatever it is. So
I think they must be Everton, isn't it? Pretty much. Otherwise, they could potentially rest players before the cup final. Sorry, Brett. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. Maybe, a win against Everton could give more justification to maybe rest. Maybe Mourinho can fancy beating Southampton without one of them. But I personally, I'm not worried about them being rested. And in terms of captaining Son, I've strongly considered it. But considering it and doing it are two different things. The reason I would consider it is simply just because I'm chasing the pack. It's a double game week, and Son on his day can be very explosive. It's been a while since we've seen that in him. Like at the start of the season.
Yeah.
And watching his interview the other day didn't exactly inspire because he does look very downbeat. But yeah, it would just be because I know everyone's going to captain Kane that maybe Son can be a differential. So I definitely don't think it's crazy for the person asking, because I am considering it. However, last season, when I wasn't doing so well, I did start to get caught in a trap of always trying to be different. Always, if they're going to do that, I'll do this. And then it just got worse and worse.
And this season as well has been it has been the season of the template, hasn't it? I mean, even the template Wildcard has just smashed it out of the bag, So it's
100%.
yeah, I'm with you there.
Yeah, so I'm torn because captaining Son, I'm not captaining Son because I think he'll get the most points. And if you strip back to the basics, that's what you should be doing. Captain the player that you think will score the most. So I think Kane is a better captain choice. He's chasing the golden boots. So he has a bit more to play for. He's in better form on penalties as well. Like Ray just said, his stats are very good. So it all points to Kane. I'd only captain Son just to try and chase the ranks, and I still might do it. But
so the triple captain, then you would say no on. I think it has to be. I always think triple captain has to be such a gut feel for when you use it. I really do. Like, I think, like in my eyes, I just really feel like if you fancy Sonny this week, then go for it, because I think it's one of those chips that if you follow everyone else, and I did do that this season, you follow everyone else and it goes wrong, it can really eat at you. Whereas I think, like, if you do it like based on how you feel and whether you really feel like this is the one, like I did with Aguero in the last game week of the last season, only got me a goal, but it felt fantastic. Do you know what I mean? And I loved it. I loved every minute of it. So I'd just been to the Emirates with these guys for the awards, and next week he smashed a goal in for me, triple captain, and it was brilliant. So I really feel like it has to be a kind of gut feel, rather than necessarily just going with the crowd. But Jay, thank you very much for sorting our sound out, buddy. Much appreciated.
Hopefully it stays that way.
Our tech guru. Your thoughts
on...
A
guru wouldn't have had anything go wrong in the first place, but cheers.
But look, you can't account for that, man. You can't account. Things go badly. I mean, look at FPL. So tell us, what do you think? Son triple captain, would you do it?
I mean, a lot of the way I will look at it is based off of what I did last season, and I think I heard Brett mentioning something similar, and I was chasing, and because I was chasing, I kept making differential picks, and sometimes they weren't necessarily the best picks because I just wanted to be different for the sake of it maybe working and increasing my rank. I think Kane's stats just look a lot better than Son's right now. Son just come back from an injury. Whilst he looked good in that Man United game for the first half, and then it went to, I don't know what happened to Spurs the second half. I think just having Son is probably enough for game week 32. I don't see it as a game week where I'm going to take any risks. I don't see it as an area where I can really gain ground on the captaincy. So for me, I think Kane's the better choice. Yeah. And also, we've got to remember, if you're involved in the Twitter community, you're seeing a lot of Twitter's people's teams. That isn't necessarily the people around you. No. So, not for instance, close. Kane, Kane captain, exactly. Portion. Kane captain might be really good for everyone in the Twitter community, and the people around you don't necessarily captain him. So I don't think, I think that's where I went really bad last season, because I was around the 200k mark, similar time, and then I ended up 400 and something K because I just kept trying to be different from the Twitter community, and I was acting like that was the whole opposition, and it's not. There's so many more players you're playing against. So for me, I think Kane is the standout.
Yeah. Really good, yeah. So if I could add to that, last year, first real year, and after Project Lockdown, I think I went up like 900k or something to finish about 250,000. And honestly, it was about making the safe captain choices. The rest of my squad will hopefully get up those points, point by point, step by step, rather than being impatient and being a bit too trigger happy with certain decisions. I thought, oh, you know what, Bruno's the best choice, I want to captain him, but I'll get Rashford next to him, I'll get Greenwood next to him, try and attack the weeks with almost as couplets, if you like, okay, I'm captaining the safer player, but where can I potentially make those extra points that will boost me up the rankings? So I look at it this year, or since Project Lockdown, Project Restart, more of a kind of step-by-step process rather than just completely kill the rankings, one way or another, because that's what I did at the beginning of last season. I think before Project Restart, I think I was 2.3 million or something like that, so yeah. I think being smart sometimes is the right thing to do.
Who just thought
sometimes just be smart.
Just sometimes. I think there's actual some slander going on of Kurt eating people's fingers in the chat. Not really sure how we got there. I'm only glancing over the chat. But Kurt, your thoughts on triple captaining Son, please.
It was a terrible move.
Okay, don't do it.
Triple
Everyone wants to
captain,
know
regular
what
or
you're
nothing.
eating. Are you eating the fingers of your opponents?
I think that's all at Brett, actually.
It's a
Was,
chip.
was Brett eating?
Yeah, I'm being accused of eating stuff.
Oh, right, okay.
Because it looks like he's eating finger food or something, and then somehow it's got on to he's eating the fingers of people who trespassed on his land.
Oh,
Because they're
what I
saying you
thought
have
it
a big house because of the echo.
That's why he closed the patio door.
Oh, okay. It could just be because he hasn't got any earphones in, to be honest. Right, okay, moving on. Rob Jones asks, how to break the mould from the current template midfield of Lingard, Bruno, Salah, Jota and Son. So, Kurt, do you want to take this one first?
Could you read them out again? I missed a few of them.
Yeah, how to break the mould of the current template of Lingard, Bruno, Salah, Bruno, even not Bruno. Bruno. Hey, Bruno. Lingard, Bruno, Salah, Jota and Son.
I'd say you start with transferring them out.
Okay, so who would you go for in that respect?
I think he wants a better midfield lineup, not just to break it up, just for the sake
Yeah,
of
he
it.
just doesn't want to just throw somebody out and not get anybody in.
It's Lingard, Bruno, Salah,
Jota
Jota.
and Son.
and Son.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Well, first things first. Why Salah? I mean, do you need 5 midfielders when you've got attackers that are also returning? Could you get in a Kane? Does he want a Kane? If you've already got a Kane, could you get in someone like an Iheanacho or Ollie Watkins? You know,
I think he wants
it's
to
not-
switch up his midfield a bit.
I think
It's
he
not
doesn't
just
even have
about-
it. I don't think he has it. I think
No?
he just wants to be against the
Different.
mold.
Yeah.
So who would you pick instead of those 5? I think he's trying to get at.
I think I know
After
who I'd
Kurt,
go
yeah.
for.
I'll go after Kurt.
Well, the only differences I've got is I've got De Bruyne and I've got Souček. Souček
1-1.
differential. De Bruyne obviously he covers Man City, but I think you got to look at where other areas you can strengthen, because you get rid of Salah and you bring someone in like Souček's price, you've got an extra 5 million to spend. So you can upgrade other areas of your team. I think I'd probably get rid of that. Because then you've still got a strong midfield, even with Souček. Souček's going to play 90 minutes. He's an integral part of West Ham. Or
I'd
maybe even
prefer to
someone
go
from a
for
different
Bowen,
team.
to be honest, at this point. I think I would
Well, that
take
is
a punt
where I was
on
going to go to
Bowen.
next as well. Is that if you're looking
Because
for
obviously he's playing an
differential,
Antonio spot, isn't he? So he's practically playing as a forward right now, and he's in a midfielder position for not very much money. So
yes, and West Ham are the steam train that ceased to stop at the moment. I wouldn't go for their defenders just purely for the fact they can keep on conceding goals. And that's
what's wrong with Soufal? Leave him alone. Get off. 2 assists in 2 game weeks now. Get in. Come on.
let's be
He's the only one
honest.
doing anything for me.
The
Leave him
one
alone.
against Wolves was a great one.
I know.
From 95 yards out, he laid it off for Lingard to tap it in.
I know. Crikey. It was all Lingard, but it was great. It was a great pass. Great pass.
Do you think Kufal has himself in that team and was like, go on, Lingard, mate, go on.
Yeah, go on,
Oh my
sir.
God.
Go on, sir.
Yes, assist!
He's got himself and Jesse Lingard as captain. He's like,
captained
come on
himself.
now.
Another one I do want to point out that I think I've mentioned a few weeks ago is I would be tempted for a bit of a differential punt to go for someone like Kai Havertz.
Mhm.
So I mentioned that a few weeks, and he's still on my watch list because I'm looking at people like De Bruyne. I'm looking at people like Son, maybe if he falls out of favour. Even maybe because I've got money elsewhere. I've got 1.1 in the bank. I could downgrade a couple of players like Ederson, like
You can lend it to me if you like, so I can buy Salah. I've got 6 million, so.
I'm not sure that's in the rules, to be honest,
God
unfortunately.
damn it.
If I replace Souček with Havertz,
I think they should
I've got
start
2 million to make
allowing
up.
trades.
I've got 2 million to make up. So if I get rid of Ederson, I get rid of Aspilicueta, that's a -8 or a wild card. I can get Kai Havertz in, and I think, although Chelsea have started conceding goals, Kai Havertz has looked good. So that'd be my 2 options: Bowen and Havertz.
What about you, Ray? How would you switch it up?
I wouldn't. Because I actually DM'd Rob about it and said, "Listen, I got some stats I'll share on the stream." So I've got the 5, and in the top 10k, it's under 7.5% that own the 5 as a Fab 5, and overall only 0.3%. So again,
definitely buying Salah in this.
So I think again, Twitter, it's an absolutely tiny contribution to FPL.
It feels so massive.
I know
it's just because you're seeing it constantly.
And I'm on it. Yeah, and I'm on it all the time as well, which doesn't help. But so people are going to be building to get those 5 in. So if you're in a position to build to that 5, I would absolutely not think about it. I wouldn't think of any other players, especially with the double for Tottenham coming up. Now, after the double, different story. You could break it. I'm going to break it. I'm 95% sure I'm going to take out Son. But
Son's been so good to me this season. I get a bit panicky just even feeling like
it's not
selling
him.
It's
not him, it's me. But it's Jose.
It's not you, Sonny. It's me.
Yeah, it's Jose. That's what it is.
It's Jose, man. It really is. If they didn't have the double, I wouldn't have bought in Son. I would have just had Kane. So fortunately for me, that double came up. But if you're in a position to get to the point where you have the Fab 5, just for the statistics I'm reading out to you, then I would absolutely do it. And if you can build it by the time that double comes up, I think I would. If I was in that position, I would. So Rob, personally, I don't think break the mold, mate, because it's not even a mold yet. It's not a template yet. So and they're
so
all
you
performing.
think this is going to be the midfield to have for the double game week 35, right?
I think yes. I think this is going to be the one to run for a while. Especially if Liverpool get knocked out tomorrow.
What about if City get knocked out? Then where do you fit those in that midfield?
Tune in for next week, guys. Tune in for next week.
Look at me leaving that question just a little sprinkle.
That's where that blank comes in, isn't it? The 33 is that if City are knocked out by 34, I think a lot of people are going to start bringing them back in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Then who do you lose for KDB? Because he ain't cheap, man. He ain't cheap. Okay, Jay, thoughts on that?
I mean,
if any?
I'm somewhere between Kurt and Ray, because I think for now, that is the 5 that you want. I just think until game week 33 comes, if you've got that 5, you should be happy that you've got that 5. Potentially when game week 33 comes, I'm going to transfer Son out, and I'm not sure I'm going to bring him back. So potentially that's the player out of those 5 that I would be looking to move on. And if Bruno doesn't necessarily improve, then that would be my way into the likes of Man City with Kevin De Bruyne. But for me, Salah and Lingard are the players I would want in my midfield. Jota, you could maybe argue there are other options out there, purely because of maybe play time. And do you really need double Liverpool midfield? But I think for game week 32, if you've got that midfield, you shouldn't be breaking the mould.
I love Meg Tavis's comment here. Is game week 35 the new blank game week 29?
He loves me, I know he loves me.
He loves me. Right, anything to add to that before I go to Rob's second question?
Just a quick shout out to John in the chat because he mentioned Pereira at West Brom.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easy to say. I was
Kurt's having Diagne flashback.
Yeah, I heard Diagne's in the chat.
Yeah.
I'm never going West Brom again. I'm too scarred from bloody Diagne.
It's the only time I've seen Kurt actually
literally
be annoyed with one
waited
of
for
his
you to sell him.
picks.
He's like what Kingy is to me and Brett. He's like literally that to Kurt.
Sorry, Brett, lad.
It's easy to say that I was considering him, but after I think he had 18, maybe 20 point haul the previous game week. And when a team has something to play for, like West Brom, when they're fighting to survive and he's on penalties and he's the talisman, he'll play every game. He did come into my mind, but at the same time with Lingard in such good form and everyone getting Jota as well, those two were the most brought in last week, Lingard and Jota, around the same price as Pereira. And it's very hard when you see that to then make a brave transfer and get Pereira instead of those two who's, and you think a West Brom player. And if he blanks, you think it's a stupid move then. you know. So it would have been very brave to make that move instead of Jota or Lingard and go for Pereira. But I definitely like him as an option, you know. 5.4 as well. You know, a good replacement for Gundo maybe, or Rafinha if you don't fancy Rafinha anymore. Or if his injury's worse, you know, than we think.
Or Neto with his injury.
Yeah, or Neto. Yeah, exactly. So over the last 5 game weeks, I mean, looking at the top 10 players for midfielders, is Lingard at the top, Pereira's second. The big hitters, Fernandes, Salah, they're not in the top 10, you know. And Havertz is up there. You know, he's just sneaking into the top 10. So
Mount's around there as well, isn't he?
I was going to say, I prefer Mount as if I was picking a Chelsea midfielder.
Yeah.
That'd be the one I'd go for. I think,
yeah.
I could be wrong, but I think he's got the most minutes out of the midfielders.
But
Havertz is kind of playing the false
couple.
9, isn't he?
Yeah, and
I
he
think
looks
Mount has
really good. But yeah.
So yeah, I was thinking earlier as well with Mason Mount that he might be one of the first players on my team to start next season, depending on fixtures. But I just had a little thought about it earlier because he's becoming so important for them. So,
so yeah, I mean, anything else to add to that? I think Rob did say what other options would equal or do better than the rest for the rest of the season. I think we did kind of touch on that a little bit. So.
I'd also consider Leicester players when they come back. Madison maybe yeah. Barnes. But Barnes is a bit further off. Madison didn't play because of breaking protocol.
Being a naughty boy.
But yeah, potentially you could have seen a different Leicester against West Ham if Madison had been there, I think. But is what it is. But I think
one more is Grealish as well.
Yes.
There's some sounds
I don't think I can go back.
I was going to say, Jay, you and my mum, you held on to him for so long on the bench. I think my mum still even has him on the bench, literally.
Every week. He's coming back. He's almost back. He's almost back.
He's never
no, he's
there.
not. Stop lying to me.
But they actually set a date this time. And obviously...
I don't believe him. Until it happens, I don't believe
No, set a date on FPL, but also for me, just, checking online and stuff. He's really pushing to return for the West Brom game. Imagine if you can return for that West Brom game. Because at that point, Tottenham have a blank and it's just an easy switch and you're saving 2 million.
Yeah, but West Brom will smash them. They're on form now. It's Big Sam. He's going to somehow save them.
Well, if they do that, then obviously they'll leave plugs at the back, hopefully, for Grealish.
Well, that was my other thinking with going lower at the back this week, is even though considering a wild card in the next couple of weeks, it would allow me the money in the bank to move Antonio onto Ollie Watkins, which, trying to get Vidra up would be quite difficult to do.
When would you play Vidra, really?
Exactly, I've got a bench boost as well, so I need to consider that. I need somebody decent on that bench for my bench boost. And they have a double game week to be rescheduled. So yeah, that's why I was kind of leaning in, stealing from defence rather than stealing from that Antonio spot. Even though I'm pretty sure Antonio will drop this week, but 0.1 isn't going to be massive compared to what I need. What I need to take from defence, really. So, I'm with you guys on thinking, along those sorts of lines, because every time Ollie Watkins scores, it hurts my rank, really quite badly. So, yeah, he's a definite thought process going forward. Okay, so on to Jordan. He asks, is Kane a perma captain option for the rest of the season now? Ooh. What do you think, Kurt? Kane, rest of the season?
No.
Okay.
No.
No.
Thank you
we've
for
got
joining us for
Ray, who's
brilliant
just
insight.
Absolutely kind of smashed out of the park with stats, and then there's Kurt.
I missed you guys last week, innit? So I need to come back with something,
It's a good job you did some research.
No, look, I don't really go by stats. I never pick.
Really? No way.
It is one of those shock horror. I know, but stats can be the gift, but they can also be very much the curse. And whenever I've looked deep into stats, it has led to me going against what I believe is right, transferring the wrong player in. I mean, just the way Spurs how can we be saying, 1 minute, it's, we're getting rid of X, Y, and Z players because of Mourinho, and yet, Kane's a different player, different
He's
team.
running
He's
for
in
the
the same
golden
team.
boot.
6 goals and
That's
2
why.
assists in the last 7 games.
It would be just Kane, mate, with all my opinion I gave.
Yeah, like, I don't see... I can understand general opinion of Spurs being the way it is, but Kane's in the form of his life right now, going for the golden boot. You've got international tournaments coming up. I don't think he's going to be dropped. I could be wrong, but Mourinho generally has always started Kane if he could.
Yeah, always.
So I can understand where he's coming from. Would I do it? Probably not, just because I don't think I ever stick to a captain every single game week.
Yeah, me.
I do have other players that are captaincy options, but as far as for the rest of the season, will he always be in the conversation for me? Most likely, yes.
Yeah,
I think-
go after you. No, after you, please.
No, I was just going to say, I think like that for that reason, he's kind of somebody that needs to really be in your team. I know he's so highly owned already, but just effectively, like having him there as ownership gives you that option to captain him, for the rest of the season if you want to. But yeah, crack on, Ray.
32, the double, then, Sheffield United at home, Leeds away. I know Leeds have looked better, but they still give up opportunities.
You never know what you're getting from them, do you? They always surprise
It's a box
you.
of chocolates.
Basically.
Yeah. I'm just isolating the fixtures. Yeah, I'm not doing like compared to City playing blah blah blah. But he could be a captain against Sheffield United 34, Leeds 35, Wolves 36. Who, if they play 4 at the back, they're a bad defensive team. And Villa at home. A lot depends on if Villa actually at that point in a position to challenge for qualifying for the Europa League, and then away to Leicester. So if it was me, I could potentially see myself captaining him in the next 3 fixtures, but I probably wouldn't do it at home to Wolves, Villa away, or Leicester away. Villa at home or Leicester away. So yeah, I could see the next 3 game weeks that he's playing.
I don't know. How many of Leicester just conceded against West Ham?
I think when Soyuchu comes back and they go back kind of like to the 4-3-3, I actually think Leicester look. This sounds weird. I actually think they look better defensively when they play 4 at the back.
So as long as Soyuncu isn't there, then Captain Kane is all right.
Not necessarily, but you know what I mean.
What do you think, Brett? Perma captain?
I was going to quickly say, if you're going to perma captain Kane, make sure to set a vice captain in game week 33.
Yes, of course.
Cheers, mate.
Great shout. Great shout.
So be careful with that one. A quick browse of the fixtures, and you can see until game week 35, he's a strong captain option. Like Ray said, in 34, Sheffield United, 35 is Leeds, I think. From 36, 37 and 38, I know there's going to be doubles and they might change around and this kind of thing. But in those 3 game weeks, I can see very quickly on paper better options. Liverpool against West Brom in 36, probably. Man City facing Newcastle that week as well in 36. It'll be one of those teams, I would imagine. 37, Liverpool against Burnley, who just don't look at the races at all lately. And then game week 38, Liverpool home to Palace as well. So, yeah, I think until game week 35, you could easily just set the captain on him bar the blank, and you probably do well. But the final 3 game weeks, I'll probably look elsewhere.
Okay, cool. So Marcus Chia asks, are there any new updates on injuries of Rafinha and Creswell? I haven't actually looked into this. So Ray, since you did some research, or
I
even
know Creswell.
Oh, go on then, Kurt.
He's out for about 2 to 3 weeks, reportedly.
Oh, okay. And what about Rafinha?
There was some concern it could have been a hamstring tear, but it's actually a strain. So if it's a strain, it's about 2 to 3 weeks. Regarding Rafinha, there hasn't really been a lot said at all, actually.
I could only find one quote, and it was, "I haven't asked." That's from the manager. Apparently, he hasn't even asked.
And that was through the translator.
Have the feeling, but don't have the feeling it is serious. But that could mean
if he hasn't asked, then then he's obviously not too worried about it.
It's not like it's one of his best players. He doesn't need to ask. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's not like they're playing a leaky Liverpool defence next.
He's like, I bet those FPL fanboys want to know, so I'm not going to tell them.
We do, man. Help us out.
Well, after Dallas pretty much giving the finger for benching him and telling us never to do it again, then I think Leeds pretty much pay attention to FPL, especially as Bamford told us early on in the season that he captains himself. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised there, Jay. Maybe he has him in his team and he wants his rivals to transfer him out. Yeah. Okay, cool. Are Son and Kane enough coverage for the Spurs double game week? So let's get into the double game week chat then. What do we think, Brett? Are they enough coverage by themselves?
I think so, yeah. I can understand considering a third because it is a double game week, and after the blank they do have Sheffield United and Leeds. So if you do bring one of them in for this double, they are playable then in 34 and 35, I think, So, of course, I've considered getting Reguilon in as one of their defenders. And I looked and Ben Davies appears to be injured, so that maybe solidifies his place. But, we talk about this cup final, and there could be the only players I think are guaranteed to start are Son and Kane. The others might get a bit of rotation, especially at wing back. That we've seen a lot of changes there with Tanganga and Aurier and Doherty maybe, and I don't know if
Lloris, isn't it? Maybe Lloris is the other guy who'd definitely play.
Yeah, true. Lloris could be not a bad shout, to be fair. If you want a guarantee of someone playing twice in the back line for this double. But they're all, I don't love any of the options really, and again, you could punt on Mora, or someone like that, but I think Son and Kane's enough. Those two are the main ones. I don't think you have to get someone else. I can understand the punt though.
Yeah, that's fair. Kurt, are you going to go for any more than? Do you have Son and Kane in? Yeah, are you going to go for any more?
It's tempting to go Lloris, but without a free hit and not really wanting to use my wildcard this week, Lloris would leave me with just one keeper this week, and obviously no keepers next week. So that's the only one I consider because, as Brett and Ray said, no one else is set in stone. I mean, everyone else has been changed over, and you don't expect them to say, "Oh, Lloris deserves a break halfway through the game week." So it'd be Lloris or nothing.
Mhm. Fair enough. Jay, Ray, Brett, anyone else you'd kind of think of?
I had Lloris in my wildcard for one whole day. I wanted to see how it felt. It felt
and then quickly got rid of him.
So I cut him out straight away, yeah. So the idea was to have him and then have Forster, who is my second keeper, he wouldn't have been able to play. It was him and Sanchez, I think I had. But it just didn't feel right. So yeah, those two are enough. I agree with that.
I think for me, in my position, I'm in a better position to maybe get a third Spurs player because I can free hit next week, which was kind of the plan, So anyone with a free hit, I can maybe understand the triple up a bit more because then they do come back for 34 and 35 with great fixtures. Without a free hit, I think it's hard to triple up on them now. With the blank next.
Yeah. It's just Son and Kane for myself too. Like I said, I did consider Mora for that Rafinha spot, but yeah, it's just thinking about getting him back out again. And then I think, would I prefer Salah there? Yeah, I would.
It depends. Like if you were playing your wild card in 33, you could kind of play it similarly to. But that's having just an option for you. Like for me, it has to be either I bench both Kane and Son for game week 33, or I get rid of one and only bench one, which is why I can't see past Kane and Son. But if you've got the luxury, then maybe Mora can do it at times. We've seen what he's capable of. I think the one we all remember is, of course, the Champions League in the semi-finals. So he is capable of a return like that, but it's a gamble. And then I wouldn't really trust Spurs' defence.
Yeah, I mean, if I were to do it, I'd only consider Lloris personally. But if I'm going to consider Lloris, then I'd want Sanchez as my second keeper because they got Sheffield United away at 33. So you could bench Lloris for that blank. Nice. But Spurs don't look good defensively, do they?
Yeah,
they really don't.
I don't like them defensively.
And I don't think Lucas is a worthwhile punt unless you have the free hit, as Brett said.
I'm just not convinced by him. I don't know why.
I wouldn't take that thought seriously, Nim. I was just saying.
No.
You have that luxury, but I wouldn't do it if I was you.
I have thought about it. I'm not going to lie to you. I have thought about it, and he has been a consideration in my head to try, because I am where I am and I'm trying to kind of gain some ground and things like that. I have thought, well, another double game week player could be a way to go. But every time I go to do it and put in my team, I just keep thinking, I'd just rather sell it. And I feel like if I don't do that, like if Mora hauls, I'm not going to be asked. I don't think. Whereas if Salah hauls, I'm going to be annoyed at myself that I didn't do it. So I think that's probably why I should, go that way.
I think when you said about gut feel, I think that's the exact right way to approach it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think any of us gut feel for any other Spurs options, really. We're just trying to answer the question. Like that's all we're doing.
I mean, Gareth Bale would be there if he was playing every match, but I mean, why? I mean, Jose just seems to have just gone off with you. And whatever happened to Dele Alli, I think he's been put down in a cellar somewhere and locked away since he played two brilliant games.
I saw him on a milk carton yesterday.
Literally, I don't know what he's done to him. So
it's mad though, isn't it? Like Ali and Bale both looked good for a small period. Fantastic. They had one bad game, and it's like, all right, that's it.
And Vinicius is the same. He looked great for a couple of his matches, but he never plays. It's so inconsistent when he plays him as well. So it's like you don't know where it's kind of pet roulette, but not in the same way. So you've got Kane and Son, but beyond that, you've literally got no idea. It could be anything. So, okay, cool. Nuclear Atoms, friend of the show, asks, have any of you ever tried any ideas on not let luck affect your FPL team from getting the points you wanted? In other words, reducing uncertainties as much as possible, and how successful were you at doing it?
We've kind of covered it almost indirectly, haven't we?
Yeah, a little bit. Anything else to touch upon there? Does anyone else want to add to it?
I'm kind of trying it right now by not having any City for a period where I think the rotation is going to be major. So it's kind of trying to take out the uncertainty of Pep Roulette. So I suppose you could say I'm trying it right now. I probably got away with it in Game Week 31. So keep tuned to the stream and you'll find out how it goes. But, of course, I will probably want Man City back soonish.
Fair enough. And anyone else trying it out? Trying not to let... I have terrible luck, so I don't feel like I try and kind of do anything with luck at all in my teams. It just feels like hard slog, man. Just every week, I think a lot depends on my team.
A lot depends on your chip status as well, I feel, because I've got no chips left now. So I can't take gambles, to be honest with you. I need to be smart. I need to be, kind of cerebral with the people I choose. If I had a free hit, I like Brett's thinking, 33, there's some banging fixtures in there. There's some really good ones that you can lean into. So I'd use a free hit if I still had it then. So a lot depends on kind of where you are with your chips. Jay, I think you have bench boost left, don't you?
I still have bench boost, yeah.
Yeah, so you still have to be a bit more methodical in regards to how you plan it. But then eventually you want to, I imagine, shift them out to get more premiums, depending on what happens with City, I'm just assuming. So for me personally, I look more at the certainties, who I think will definitely start, who I think will definitely play. So, for example, I've got bench for the Keenan Davis. He'll never play, but I've used that money to, make sure I have 5 playing defenders, 5 playing midfielders, 2 strikers who I can trust. And if Iheanacho has ever gone missing, okay, I'll have a 5th defender. So, for me, a lot depends kind of with where you are with your chips. So, for me, I'd rather rely on the certainties. And that's probably like Jay. I didn't have any City assets because I'm not in a position to have City assets who go missing because I have no chips to fall back on.
Yeah, that's fair. Completely fair. Anyone else to add anything to that? Kurt, Brett?
Just quickly, it's just quite hard to talk about, making logical decisions and not relying on luck. after a game week where plenty of people had Dallas
Got
first
very
sub and De Bruyne captain with Jesse Lingard vice captain and Dallas first.
Shit.
I go on Twitter and some people had 38 point swings from captaining De Bruyne, who was a risk, and getting like Dallas off the bench and vice captaining Lingard, and oh god, I can't fault them. I just wish something like that would happen to my team sometimes. But I think when we're all serious players, we're all trying to do our best. So I think that when you ask players like us and anyone in the chat and anyone that takes the game seriously, we're always trying not to rely on luck. We're always trying to make the logical decisions. Luck is just luck.
Kurt relies on luck every week. I mean, Jesse Lingard captain. That's lucky.
I guess in the case of, like we talked about earlier with Son, captaining Son over Kane, that you would kind of be relying on, if you're going against form, you're going against stats. It's not a bad decision to captain Son, but you are relying on it's a hit and hope because it can shoot you up the rankings. It's an opportunity. So in that case, luck can play in your favour. You're taking a chance, and maybe it can go your way.
Yeah. Nim is just jealous.
I thought that might wake him up a little bit.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, it's lucky
There he
that
is,
I put a
hello.
captain's armband on someone that's so in form. He is one of the
Found
top
him
scoring
up.
and the top scoring point scorer.
Yeah.
Sorry, your week didn't go so well. God.
Oh, it went fine. It went fine. I'm just glad you're awake.
But it's a good point you make because during that infamous double game week where people were triple captaining Kane and I triple captain Salah, Son actually got more points than Kane.
He did.
So your logic actually has some serious evidence from just this season. So yeah, I don't think it's a silly decision, but I'm always fearful of effective ownership. But that's how I am as a person, actually.
Yeah, you've got to accept the risk, haven't you?
Absolutely.
Take it, yeah.
Okay, Brendan Saunders says, Spurs the only team with the double, is asking, and the answer is yes, I believe so, Brendan. It's hard to know which Spurs defence will turn up. I'm more concerned with my City defenders, changes to be made. So at the moment, he's got Stones and Cancelo as his City defenders. I had both of these. I moved Cancelo on game week before. So I can understand being concerned with both of them. Obviously, if Stones plays midweek this week, then that likely means he's not, just by the way of process of what's been happening. If Stones and Cancelo start midweek, then they're unlikely to start on the weekend because that's just kind of the way it's been going so far. Not that you can absolutely be sure of that with Pep, but that's just kind of, they seem to play every other match at the moment. So yeah, I would be kind of concerned if I were you, but I'd maybe wait and see whether or not they start tomorrow evening before making those transfers. But what do we think, guys? Who would we switch them out for? I mean, I guess Trent is up there if you've got the cash. Anyone else that anyone's considering or would kind of say a nice sideways, or not sideways, but around that sort of price move would be for the City defenders?
Did we know what defenders he had again? So
Cancelo and Stones are the ones that he's mostly
outside
concerned.
of those.
Oh, outside of those, yeah, he
Beltman, Target, and Dallas.
Yeah.
I mean, I still like Chelsea. Maybe not at the double up anymore, but I think, yes, they've had two fixtures where we were expecting clean sheets and it didn't happen.
Yeah.
If I'm correct, the Palace game, it probably should have still been a clean sheet. Just it wasn't. And then, of course, West Brom, red card. So I'm hopeful that it turns around and we get the Chelsea that we brought the double defence in for. So I
They
still
do
think
0-0 tonight, I think, as well. So no.
yeah, they're probably going to do that to us now. Every time it's not the Premier League, they'll get the clean sheet. But
Did Rudiger start?
Oh, sorry, no. Porto scored.
Porto
they
scored.
lost 1-0.
Oh, that's it.
They
Get rid
went
of Chelsea
through on-
defence. It's done.
Start as well, Nim, yeah.
He did. Okay, interesting. That's me now. I'll go to bloody Wolves' defence and Chelsea will be back on it now. You watch. Sorry, crack on.
Maybe Luke Shaw.
Yeah.
Maybe Luke Shaw.
He's been in great form.
At home to Burnley this week. Leeds away the next. I think Leeds will score in that game, but it'll be an attacking one. So a good chance for attacking returns for Shaw. And he just seems pretty nailed now, and a good chance for a good price and very attacking. So if you can't make your way up to Trent, who looks to be a very good option again now, in terms of creativity with his stats and Liverpool's improving defence.
How did he not go down further in price, by the way? Like, how is he still 7-something in price? That's ridiculous after the season he's had up until this point.
Yeah.
Legit, no one had him at that point, so the price could go nowhere.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, surely he's 6 million now. I'll just get, what?
You wanted 6 million, that's a bit far.
Yeah, no, in the 6 million, not actually 6 million. But yeah, I was a bit shocked by him still being right up there in the 7.
I'm confused by that sometimes too, Nim, because the other day, with City's rotation, talking about City defenders, I was thinking, well, will Laporte play the league games? Just thinking maybe, let's have a little look at Laporte's price. He's bound to have dropped by now. He hasn't played all season. He hasn't dropped once the entire season, Laporte. He's been 6 million and hasn't dropped at all. I know it relies on people selling him, but he started with like 300,000 owners and dropped to 100,000 or something off the top of my head.
Oh, damn.
Didn't even drop to 5.9. And I was like, come on, give us something.
Yeah, come on. Now, if you're going to put those prices so high at the start, at least let there be a bit more of a kind of
let's make it
variance.
Interesting. Like when a player comes back from injury, for half the season out, I was hoping he'd be 5.6 or something, just for the sake of it. But yeah. Still 6 million.
By my reckoning, that means Grealish is at least just 3 million now.
You imagine.
Looking at rough figures, FPL website I have it as he's been transferred out 380,000 times, and he's been transferred in 173,000 times. So that should constitute to at least a 0.1, if not a bit
agree
more.
with you.
But if they make the rules up, they're game
one price drop. I just found that bizarre. I know this with injuries, and it's all a bit confusing, but it just seems a bit stupid to me that a player who hasn't played all season for 6 million, a centre-back, doesn't drop even once, regardless
it feels
of...
like he's just there, so let's say there's a couple of injuries at the back, all of a sudden they don't want people having a Man City defender that's...
I know, it's like they don't want it to happen.
Yeah.
Like, come on, make it, it's
make it fun.
Yeah. It's the same with goalkeepers. They don't add a goalkeeper to the game, and then he gets a debut halfway into the season. Oh, maybe he can be cheap. No, they put him at 4.5 because he hasn't been added to the game yet. Oh, now we'll add him at 4.5. It's like, mate, come on, put him at 4 at the start. Maybe it's good,
Yeah.
They don't give you anything these days.
Sorry about that.
In regards to the questions, the other defenders he has, Villa at home to Man City, Brighton away to Chelsea, and Leeds at home to Liverpool, with Dallas, Target, and Veltman. So it's not exactly he's got much to fall back on. So I think he's got Neto already, but obviously Neto's injured. But I have Cody, and I'm going to start Cody in game week 32.
Are we concerned that Neto being out might change the dynamics of the defence at all?
If anything, I think they could go back to 5 at the back.
Okay. Interesting.
Because Nori is back, and hopefully Bowley will be back as well.
Okay.
So he'll play in the back with Sice and Cody, and on the right will be Semedo, who's a terrible defender. But I'm thinking
that makes me feel great about Wolves' defence.
Well, I have Cody.
Semedo's terrible.
I want to play, La Liga winner, Semedo. So if you take out Cancelo and then bring in Cody, that's like what, 1 million less, I think.
Yeah.
And then you can use that money accordingly, because I still think there's going to be some spanners in the works. So I'd just make that one change. We still obviously got a couple of fixtures that still need to be rescheduled in Villa versus Everton and Southampton against Palace. So I wouldn't do anything with Target if I still had him. But I'd just make that one move. Yeah, Cancelo to Cody, and then just see where it goes from there, because Wolves on paper have phenomenal defensive fixtures, don't they? Which is why I bought in Cody.
You can't deny that. Sheffield United at home, Burnley at home in the next two, then West Brom away, Brighton at home.
It's actually making me think, do I move Stones on now? But I mean, Stones in that last match looked fantastic. I don't know if anyone else agreed with me, but he just seemed to be in the box like all the time. I was like, he's going to get me something attacking here. Like, even though he's lost like my defense, he just like every crack he had on goal, he seemed to be taking it. And I was like, this isn't going to get you bonus points, Mr. John Stones. Stop it. But he looked so good, like crazy.
Will you play him away to Villa? Like, will you actually start him in your starter team?
He's in at the moment.
Are you starting Dallas in him?
See, it might be. I was going to say he has warned me. Like literally, like
imagine
it's between those two because I have Soufal who I'm playing against Newcastle and Aspilicueta against Brighton, who may be Rudiger, but you know, like then it's Stones against Villa or Dallas against Liverpool. I mean, what do you do there?
Stones brace, Dallas hat-trick.
Probably.
Well,
Rafinha out, putting Stones in. Like, literally, if I just drop Rafinha to the bench and play Dallas, I'd have been much better off this week. Maybe I should just do the same this week, drop Rafinha. But he'll be Salah this week, so I can't actually do that. So slightly not. Yeah. I don't know, is the honest answer, lads.
I guess it comes into question about your subs as well. Because with City defenders, at least you know if they don't play, they're not going to play at all.
Yeah.
So it depends who you've got on the bench to come in.
I think I'll wait and see what happens tomorrow night. I'll just see whether Stones plays or not, and then I'll go from there, to be honest with you. I mean, I may well get off of Stones just for that reason. Like, you know, just for that very reason of... But, I mean... It's what I said to you, 3-4 game weeks ago? It's like... How do you like sell them when you know they're not going to play in one game, but they like pretty much haul the next?
I think one is good in defense. I think you can think that way. One, because I did have Diaz for a long time.
Yeah,
because I know I DM'd you about should I keep Diaz. I decided not to. I think having one is good, but to have two, which he has here. Oh no!
I think in his case he should definitely sell one of them.
Cancelo for Cody.
Yeah, in my case, I sold Cancelo a couple of weeks ago, and I've got Stones left, so it's kind of like trying to decide what to do with
I'd keep him. Sorry, I'd keep him in your position. I'd keep Stones.
Okay, interesting, cool. Even with the blank.
Yeah, depending on who the other four defenders are. Obviously, with the fixtures.
Yeah. Cool. All right then. Moving on to James Keatley's question. Other than Kane and Son, is it worth bothering with any other Spurs player given their poor form and risk of rotation? Well, I think we've pretty much covered that. Does anyone else want to add anything to that before we move on to a couple in the chat? No.
Nope.
Okay. Cool. Okay then, Brett. So just to say to James, if you kind of like go back a little way, we have discussed that a couple of times, so hopefully that's helpful to you, buddy. Okay, Brett, can we have a couple of questions from the chat, please?
Yes, a question from Mig for Kurt. Is Dianya an option?
You were the one that wanted to come on today.
Yeah.
Talking.
Exactly. If Lingard didn't bang, you wouldn't have even come on, mate.
Yeah, and I'm regretting that option to come on every single second.
Literally about 20 minutes before, I can come on. And I'm like, all right, fine, I can do that.
What's your thoughts on Mateta for Crystal Palace, mate? You might play next game.
I don't even know who that is.
I'll give a quick couple of shout outs before another question. So James S was in the chat. He says he asked to be cheered up. He had Johnston, Dallas and Watkins on the bench this week.
Ooh.
Sorry, James.
Stylesy.
40 points on the bench.
And you, my love.
Yeah, I feel for you. And Nenad says that he had 13 of 15 players, the same as Ray, in Game Week 32.
Ooh.
And he's now at 873 OR. Personal best.
Nice.
Hoping for his first ever top 1K finish. So great job, Nenad, and thanks for all you've been commenting a lot in the chat tonight.
Well done, Nenad.
Brilliant, lad.
Awesome effort, that.
Hope we helped in some way along in that journey.
You copied Ray's team.
Yeah, well done, Ray.
Can't have been from me, that's for sure. Okay, so this is from JonesBlug79. Hey man, he wants to know our thoughts on Pereira of Leicester, the right back. Obviously, he was a bit of an option a couple of weeks back and just didn't deliver at all, did he? When he came back from injury, we were like, Pereira could be a good shout. And I even tipped him as a differential, but just didn't really come to be. What do we think now? Obviously, they've got great fixtures. So do we think he's a good defensive option? We've talked about, Man City replacement. So what do we think?
Right, that's a good point you made. I remember me and heat maps and stuff like that. And I think I even put a thread out on Twitter that he was basically playing almost as a right winger.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's got one return on that. On Castagna looks a better option to me.
I have to say, I haven't really looked at him at all. Like, I don't really.
I'd only have
I couldn't even
Maddison
tell
to
you
go
how
with
much he
Iheanacho,
was, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd say no, pal. With that budget, I'd just use it on. I know I said Cody before, but maybe a Chelsea defender. But it's a lot of money for someone who is not performing, isn't it?
Did you say bunny?
Money.
I thought you said that's a lot of bunny.
That's a lot of money.
Sorry. How bad. I thought
Yeah,
I was missing some sort of slang there.
So the way I'd spend that bunny is to obviously feed it a lot of carrots. But sorry, Brett, to answer the question, and Rob, hey Rob, is I would not entertain Pereira, or if you push me for a lesser defender, maybe for Fofana. But that's just because he's the cheapest out of the lot that will play at 5 million. And even at 5 million, that's a lot of money because Rudiger's cheaper, Cody's cheaper, Holding's cheaper, Phillips is cheaper. So, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, definitely. He's another player that started at 6 million, missed a lot of the season.
I see how Brett's just on this now. He's just
Brett's
like
just looked for questions at back
focused.
It's a very valid point, though, man. It's valid point.
8 consecutive blanks for him as an expensive defender. 8 consecutive blanks. He's only dropped 0.1 million. That's crazy. Yeah, it's just too pricey, I think. And I understand trying to get ahead of the curve, getting on a player before anyone else does. Huge differential, but he just hasn't been doing the business, really. So, the fixtures look very good to the next 4. West Brom, Palace, Southampton, Newcastle. So there's a good chance of clean sheets there. I can understand the punt. But yeah, it's expensive, isn't it? For someone that hasn't really done the business. Anyone think he's a good option?
Like I said, I haven't really looked at him, to be honest, Brett. So
Anyone think a lesser defender would be a good option?
I like their fixtures,
right
but
now.
I just haven't considered their defence at all.
I had Fofana before Cody, but then I was just like, nah, Leicester don't, they don't feel right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's pressure on Leicester. Like, I think because of last season, the way they kind of tailed off toward the end, where they looked comfortable and then they just collapsed quite a bit. And I think the pressure maybe might get to them again. At least
Only
in
a
the last
point
2.
above West Ham now.
I think also they have that pressure of they've had that one season where they did manage to keep it up, and now every single time they do well, it's a bit like, okay, will you do as well as that team?
And I don't think they'll finish in a top 4. I actually don't think they will. I think they're going to unfortunately crumble again.
Yeah, for so long as well, like last season, could be history repeating itself. And to ship 3 goals to West Ham, it's not a bad thing because West Ham are playing so well, but they conceded 3 goals so quickly in a massive 6-pointer really between the 2 teams. So I do worry a little bit. And West Brom are hitting some form now. West Brom are hitting some form. So yeah, I think there's better defences out there at the moment. But I can understand the punt because the fixtures do look very good. Okay, so it's another defensive question. A lot of defensive questions tonight. So Mustafa Hassan says, any update on Cresswell's injury? I don't know if Jay has anything on that because I know he likes West Ham.
Yeah, Kurt had one earlier. 2 to 3 weeks.
Earlier, mate. Strained hamstring.
2 to 3 weeks. Okay. And he wants to know best defender under 4.8 million other than Rudiger for game week 33 onwards. So a long-term budget defender other than Rudiger. Has anyone got anyone on the radar
What's
Would
Cody
be one
right
of the
now?
would be the Wolves lads.
I think
wouldn't it,
Cody
that
is
sort
bang
of
on
price?
4.8 actually.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was going to say the Wolves lads probably at that price.
Cody, my man, because
Um,
I'm playing him next week as well, or this coming
What
week.
do we think about Brighton defence at the moment?
Not bad. Not bad. To be
Yeah,
fair.
I mean, yeah, they're doing all right, aren't they? I mean, there's got to be some cheapies in there. Veltman's pretty cheap, isn't he?
Yeah.
I don't know what their fixtures are like for the rest of the season. Of
it's
course, we
Chelsea
don't really know
next.
what these going to do.
But for game week 33 is Sheffield United, then it's Leeds 34, Wolves 35, then it is West Ham 36, Man City 37. So you probably don't want to risk it there, and then Arsenal in game week 38.
You got Holding there as well, but David Luiz could be back in a couple of weeks. But you could prosper from that because on paper we have decent fixtures.
What about Phillips for Liverpool? Really cheap.
Also, yes.
So
Yeah, I like that shout.
Yeah. Very good.
I think I like that because, like you say, Brighton defence have been really good. And looking over the last 5 game weeks, Ben White and Veltman are the 2 highest scoring defenders over the last 5 game weeks at that price. Sorry,
And I benched
4.8
Veltman.
million or below. For cheap options, they're showing up. But like you say, Nim, it's the fixtures for Liverpool longer term. And because Mustafa is looking for a long term into the end of the season option, and Phillips could be the one because their fixtures are so good until the end of the season. Brighton have got maybe 3 good fixtures and then more tricky ones. So
I think it's the sort of thing where if you've already wildcarded and you might like another Liverpool attacker, then it's probably unlikely that you're going to be able to get to Trent without kind of murdering your team. So I think it is a way into that Liverpool defence. Of course, I still don't think Liverpool are as solidly defensively, as what they have been in the past. So it's a risk, but at 4 million is a very, very, or 4.1 or whatever it is that he is now, is a very cheap risk, So
definitely cool. Okay. Another defensive question. It's from Mustafa again. So we talked a bit about Cancelo and Stones. What do we think now about Diaz? Do we keep him or not? What do you reckon, Jay? Have you got Diaz? I guess you've just wildcarded, so probably not. But
Yeah, I've got rid of all Man City just to avoid any rotation headaches. I think we kind of covered it with the fact that it was suggested to have one is okay, because if they don't start, then you're going to have someone coming off the bench. So I don't mind DS. I'd say he's probably the one most likely to get the significant game time out of, say, the 3 defenders I like from that City side. So I don't have a problem with having DS in the side. But I just feel like if you have wildcarded or you are going to wildcard, until we know a bit more about City's fixture list, I think it's a bit of a risk to have any City players. Depends how you move your funds around. If you've got a good bench, that's not necessarily a bad thing, though, to have DS. So I think it does depend on your bench.
yeah. What about you, Ray? I know you've wildcarded too, but if you had Diaz, would you keep him now?
My biggest conundrum was Diaz because I think it was Trent, Cody, and Holding versus Phillips, Diaz, and Shaw. Those were kind of the trios I was going up against each other.
And I was like, go with the second, looks way more exciting.
Precisely. And I think I said to Nim, YOLO, I want to enjoy watching Liverpool defend because it will be Trent, So it was really close, Brett. I think on the last day I opted for the first trio that included Trent, which meant no Diaz. If I had Diaz, I would have kept him. But when you look at the fixtures, so they got Villa away, he might not play. It might be Laporte, as you said, and maybe Ake, because Ake hasn't really played that many games.
Yeah.
Then they got the blank. Then they're away to Palace, granted. Okay, that looks like a good fixture. Home to Newcastle, home to Chelsea after that. So when you look at the next 4 game weeks, they're not playing in one of them. It doesn't really feel like an attractive prospect. And also, at 6 million, I'd rather have Gundogan for that cost, if that makes sense, because I could see Man City shipping a few goals, especially as the title is almost sewn up now.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, I've still, maybe I'm the only one who has Diaz then. I've still got Diaz. And because I've
I would have him if I was on a wild card, I think. Like, I was going to switch Stones to Diaz on my wild card.
Why would that be? Sorry, I'm intrigued.
Just for starts.
Both of
just for starts, purely because Stones literally feels like an every other week kind of person. So I was looking to switch to Diaz for the security of the starts. Really, is why I was thinking. But actually,
more as a City defender. Why would you keep a City defender?
Oh right. Well, it was just because until recently they've looked fairly solid. You know, they've been the best defence in the league. So. Yeah, I mean, obviously last week has made me reconsider things a little bit. Maybe one of the pluses for having held my wild card. I don't know. But yeah, I guess that's just where I was thinking they're most solid in the league, and it doesn't seem to have phased them no matter what their fixtures have been, sort of thing. So
I guess you have the budget to play with as well, isn't it? Brett, yeah. I imagine if Diaz doesn't play, you still have good defenders.
Exactly. I like all these options that we're talking about. Like, I mean, I wasn't loving Wolves' defence last week, I know, and I still don't love the defence. But at 4.8, I get the Cody pick, and Holding with good. I don't mind these options, but my defence seems quite well set, really. It hasn't been a priority for me. And like you say, because I've got, like last week I had Kufal and Dallas on the bench, and look what Dallas did. That's two very good options, and Sufal came in, unfortunately, instead of Dallas. But looking ahead, if Diaz doesn't start, I've got a good place to come off, and my transfers have been prioritised elsewhere. So this week I moved Gundogan onto Lingard because he just won't stop scoring. So I thought I've got to get Lingard for Newcastle. So that again, the priority just went into the attacking areas really. And yeah, Brian in the chat makes a good point, and I kind of feel this way. Obviously, with Pep dropping Diaz or resting Diaz last week and them losing, that gives us a bit more hope that Diaz will start a lot more games again because they lost without him. So he's not going to go anywhere for now for me. I'll probably start him away to Villa. And then I'm going to free hit, and then in 34 it's Palace, and a great chance of a clean sheet against Palace there if he starts. Maybe after game week 34 I might look to get rid.
Depends if you want to upgrade the midfield and strikers, obviously, isn't it? At least you have money to play with if you.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Transferring him out might be to make an upgrade elsewhere, or maybe
And it depends on how they do this week as well, doesn't it?
Precisely.
Say again.
And depends on what they do this week, if they manage to stay in or not. Because obviously if they don't, then obviously City is going to be all on for the league, isn't it, really?
That's true, yeah. Looking at the fixtures, I mean, they've got Newcastle in 36, great chance of a clean sheet there. But it's like in the easy fixtures, or no disrespect to Newcastle, but in the easy fixtures on paper, they're the kind of games you'd think Pep thinks, I'll get away with this without Diaz in this. So they'll probably play back home to Chelsea, and that's a bit annoying. You'll probably get the Chelsea fixture and miss the Palace and bloody Newcastle ones.
They'll bring in Ake, you mean, yeah?
Yeah, exactly.
They'll play against the poorer teams.
Yeah, definitely. So I don't know on Diaz yet. I've had transfers to make elsewhere. He's the only City defender I like at the moment. So at least I feel the right one because he is the most nailed. I'll see what happens. I'm not going to transfer him out just yet.
Okay. Cool. Okay, then let's move on to Jeff's corner. Unless there's anyone else you want to give a quick shout out to, Brett.
We covered almost all. There was one more question just toward the end from Rob again. Can we just do one more?
Yeah.
He just wants to know about Bale. Do we think Bale is not an option to hold anymore? If you've got him now, still, for this double, do you keep him?
Kurt.
No.
I think every time I've said Kurt, you've said no.
Are you answering the question, or are you just telling Nim? No.
Yeah, you're just telling me no. I don't want to answer.
It's like saying, is Dele Alli a good differential for this week? No. Of course he's not.
Yeah, he's a great player. I love Gareth Bale. It's just the game time. You just don't know when he's going to start or when he's not going to start. So that's the problem. So
for that infamous game week 29 I was plugging on about all bloody season.
Yeah.
I chose Bale out of FOMO, not because I thought it was the right choice. And he didn't play that game week. There you go. He didn't play that game week. Checks in the mail. And then last week against Newcastle, the moment Willock equalised, I was like, he's going to bloody bring on Bale, which stopped my Diaz clean sheet. And I think that's the most angry I've been this season, because I was just like, you shouldn't have started Bale anyway, even if he was playing against Newcastle. He's just... Mourinho isn't a fan for some absurd reason. So, Rob, get rid of Bale.
Yeah.
Even for a hit.
If you still got him this week, it's... I would find it tricky, but it just...
When you see those two fixtures underneath the player, it psychologically messes
you won't start
you up,
either, man. There's no way to start either. No way. Because of Jose, not because of him.
I think he might get one. The Southampton game, I think. His old club as well. There's one more question that Mustafa's really asking us to do. So it's just to say one name for some players. He says, which player has surprised you most this season? And the player that you will definitely keep next season in your FPL team, which you may not have planned before. Name one player. Question for everyone. So
does that cover one player for both of those questions?
Do you want two players, or do you want just
really
one player?
Sure, I don't really know. So let's just say which player has surprised us most this season.
I've got mine.
Go on then.
Be Gundogan.
Gundogan, okay.
Yeah, Gundog for me. Absolutely.
Jay?
I mean, it depends where he ends up, but Lingard would be the player that surprised me the most.
Okay,
so
good.
Next season, maybe.
Yeah, good shout.
So is it just general football or FPL? Sorry.
I would imagine.
Sorry, man.
Yeah, a bit better, I guess. Yeah.
Probably more FPL, I would say. Kurt?
I'd probably go with James Ward-Prowse.
Oh, come on. You were set up there to tee out the park with the game.
Ray?
From an opposite aspect of Aubameyang, I think he's just fallen off a cliff. They say footballers can age very quickly, and I feel Aubameyang is. So from an FPL asset,
I need you in the Arsenal chat every time.
No. I came out of it. No. Thomas invited me. I came out of it.
Literally, there's a couple of people, like you say something bad about Aubameyang, and they just don't like it. They don't like it.
Yeah. So Aubameyang, from that aspect, Brett, I think he's, as a player and as an FPL asset, I think we all had him in the first couple of weeks, and then I'd taken him out for KDB, I think. But from the reverse, if I may, I think James Justin was absolutely phenomenal as an FPL asset and a footballer. I think he was going to go to the Euros. One of the only players I've seen who can actually give Adama Traore a bit of a battle physically. Sorry. 2 for 1.
Awesome. Yeah, I've got a definite answer for me, and some have already said it in the chat.
He's gone.
Bamford all day for me. Patrick Bamford, I bought him in. At the start of the season, I've said many times, not once did I consider Bamford at the start of the season. Sorry, Ray, can you not hear me?
I couldn't do. Cheers. Jay quickly pressed the button. He muted me quickly. So yeah, go on.
Okay, cool. For me, it's Bamford straight away. And then I brought him in from game week 9, and I've not once considered selling him. And at 5.5 million, he's just been such an exceptional FPL option, like a budget striker at 5.5 that has just been a no-brainer to keep for all the season. Like 14 goals, 10 assists in FPL. For
genuinely
a
weeped a little bit last week when I sold him. A little bit. He died inside.
Yeah,
but Iheanacho helped with that death because that's who I sold him for.
Yeah, I can't see him going anywhere still. I'm going to keep him for the rest of the season now. Probably all the 3 leads, Rafinha, Bamford and Dallas, I'll probably keep to the end of the season now, because from 34 onwards their run looks good, and it wouldn't surprise me to. I might bench him against Liverpool maybe, or United, but he could
back into my team probably.
Yeah, and Leeds in general, like Dallas. I haven't had Dallas nearly enough. I only got him in 3 game weeks ago.
Mhm.
But this is a 4.5 defender that he's on 140 points already, 7 goals. Incredible option.
Hopefully they don't do a Sheffield United next season.
Yeah. That's been...
So I think Dallas will get broken next year because they might put him in midfield like they did with
Lundstrom.
With Lundstrom, he'd be like 5.56 million. You can't go anywhere near him. But maybe Bamford I'll consider again next season. I think they'll probably put Bamford at 7.5, and it'll be quite hard to buy him again. But yeah, Bamford for me, and Dallas has just been an incredible option. One of the best defensive options at that price ever, really. Unbelievable.
Okay, let's head on over to Jeffers Corner then. If you don't go and follow at Austin66UK, then go and do that, guys. This section, as always, allows you guys to get to know us a little bit better. It's a bit of fun. Before I ask this week's question, we've had a change around on the table, and the scores are now as follows. Myself on 39 points, Jay on 33 points, Brett on 27 points, so he's moved up into 3rd, Ray on 25 points, so he's moved up into 4th, and Kurt has slipped down to last with 23 points. So, moving on to this week's question, it's a Meeting Celebrities edition. We must each nominate a celebrity that we would like to meet, and we get a point for everyone who would also like to meet that person, but it cannot include any footballers or anyone directly involved with FPL or football. So, does anyone...
And they have to be alive.
Yes, and yes, Ray did ask that question very specifically. So, yes, they have to be alive. So, Ray, with that, would you like to go first?
No, because I always go first and you guys batter me.
Okay, then. Cool. All right, then. Jay, go on. You go first.
See, I have an answer, but he said not a footballer, and I'm worried if I give this answer, this guy did play American football.
Jay, you always have to pick one that's on the borderline. Why do you always have to pick an answer on the borderline?
Surely American football.
Gridiron. It's called gridiron. Yeah. But
I got caught in a technicality last week. So I
You're
feel
right,
like...
though, Brett. He's always like that, isn't he?
Yeah, he's always got to pick like a bit of a question mark, a grey area.
Exactly. It causes a conversation, so I think it's good. We get a bit more out of this section because I bring
Brett,
up.
I think he was
Odegaard
I think when he mentioned football, he was referencing Premier League.
I'm hoping that's the case, but I'm worried.
I'm being weird,
but I'll still go with it. I'm going to go with Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Okay.
And I'm hoping he doesn't count the small period where he played American football at university.
Okay.
No, that's a fine answer.
Yeah, I think you're good there. I think you're good, and you definitely have a point from me because I would love to meet him, and I'd probably only just come up to his thigh. But my God, would I like to stand next to that thigh?
Okay, I'm not too bothered about his thigh, but I'm happy I got the point.
So yeah, you got a point from me.
It was my choice, by the way, Jay, but I had a feeling you were going to go for him. But absolutely, yeah, I'll just talk to him about his wrestling career. I don't care about his acting. Just talk about WrestleMania against Stone Cold Steve Austin. That's all I'd ask. But definite point.
Yeah, Kurt, is it a point from you?
Yeah, he seems nice enough, and I think it'd be a good laugh.
Yeah, and Brett?
Yeah, definitely. Point from me.
Cool, clean sweep, nice.
Until Jeff says, and it's still good.
Yeah, I think he let you away with that one. Okay then. Brett, do you want to go next, or you? Did you see the question? Are you good this week?
I'm good this week. I didn't see the question, but I can think of someone straight away. There's a couple. I got a couple too. But I think I'll go Ricky Gervais. I'm just a huge, like, me and my family watch The Office religiously. I've watched that show so many times that I can quote it, word for word, a lot of it. And yeah, I love his stand-ups too. I've watched him live a couple of times. And he just seems like it would be such a good laugh to meet Ricky Gervais. Does a lot for animal welfare as well. So yeah, I think we get on. I'd like to meet Ricky Gervais. I think he's a bit of a legend.
Well, I would like you to meet Ricky Gervais, but he's not somebody for me, I'm afraid.
Wow.
Sorry.
Oh, this would be
Yeah. No.
I mean, it's a definite yes for me.
It's a no
I think
from
it's
me.
hilarious.
I'm not a
What?
fan.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
It's a yes from me.
Interesting. So half and half
I thought I was
there.
going to be gold with that.
I thought when you said it, I was like, that's a good shout. But apparently not.
Yeah. Okay, I've got 3 on the board here. I don't know whether to leave me to last and just go with who's left over. Because I feel like I'm going to choose the wrong one no matter who I go with. So go on, Ray. I'll let you go. I'll let you go.
It was down to 3. So one was The
Yeah.
Rock, one was Pharrell, because I'm a huge Pharrell fan. Pharrell
Yes,
Williams from
NERD.
NERD. And obviously the work he's done with Neptunes and other collaborators. And the third one as well was the one I'm going to select because I think his story is amazing. I think he went from riches to rags back to riches. He's got an incredible kind of underdog story to go back up, almost like Rocky Balboa. So I would love to meet Tyson Fury, boxing champion. I think his story and just the way he's kind of come back up. He suffered from depression. He's kind of become a spokesperson in regards to making people more aware of depression and also setting up certain Eventbrites and charities as well to deal with issues with depression, because I don't think people respect enough how important it is. So I'd love to meet him to speak about boxing, but also to speak about his concept as well. So for me, it'd be Tyson Fury.
Yeah, I think I definitely find him interesting, so I'd say yes to that. Who else? Jay? Is everyone everyone's really thinking about this?
Pharrell, I'd have straight away said yes.
It's the sort of thing where I'm like, yeah, I think I'd find him interesting. He's not somebody I would have initially thought of, but yeah, I think, yeah.
Well, I haven't met him. Sorry, my wife apparently thinks I've met Pharrell properly. I'm like, how have I forgotten that? The thing with Tyson Fury is I have a mate that's a massive Tyson Fury fan who annoys me with how much he loves Tyson Fury.
Shit.
But I think I would have to say yes, I would like to meet him.
Well, that would just annoy your mate tremendously, so you've got to have that for kudos.
No, it probably
points,
wouldn't.
surely.
He's that big. He'd be like, no, well done. Everyone deserves to meet him once. Like, that's how big a fan he is.
Oh, wow, really? Okay, fair enough. So you're saying yes, Kurt?
I'm saying yes, yeah.
Personally, I think the bloke's a tool, but I think he's one of those fascinating tools that you'd love to just delve into. So it's a yes from me.
Brett?
I think it's a really good shout. I really like Tyson Fury. I agree with the story. There's a lot to, I think it's a great shout. But thinking about it realistically, I just can't, if I was to meet him, I don't know if we'd have a good conversation. We're very different. I can't
I
see
love
myself.
how he's like the Simon Cowell of this group. Like, he has to put the criticism in. Like, Kurt was there, like, wait for the but.
I'm just thinking, like, I really like the shout because he's a legend. He's an absolute legend, and everything he's done for mental health. I just think if I met him, I can't see myself having like a nerdy conversation over some vegan burgers with Tyson Fury. He'd want a massive, like 50-ounce steak, wouldn't he? And you want to talk.
I think I'd pay to
about
see
10 points.
That's what could be gold, though.
So
Finding your common ground, Brett.
I don't think
Brett, he's gone through depression, and you live depression with FPL. I mean, there could be a connection there.
Yeah, maybe.
You think you've had it tough? Try playing this game.
I just don't know if I can see it.
This free game.
No money on the line, but try it.
Yeah, all right. Go on, Kurt. I'll let you go next.
Is there anyone else?
Oh, no, I knew it.
Shut the show down, man. Shut it down. Bye, guys.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
We're going off air.
Said it before, I'll say it again.
Wow.
Just to spend an hour speaking to him, who wouldn't be fascinated to
I'm
find
scared
out
to
about
answer
some of the
this
stuff
question.
you'd find out?
Have you seen the movie The Interviewer?
I genuinely feel like I just want to say yes out of pure fear. Like, yes, okay, yes.
Just in
But
case
I
he's
wanna
watching.
say,
Yes.
yeah, I want to say no. I want to say no, but I should be saying yes.
Kurt, I respect your choice, but I'm going to respectfully say
Politely
no.
decline.
But thank you.
He is not RSVPing.
But thank you for being you. But, yeah, I'm going to say no, man.
Uniquely you. Brett?
It's a no from me.
Brett, if you said yes, I would have gone crazy after the Tyson Fury one. I would have lent into it and all
I
sorts.
don't think I'll have a conversation with Tyson Fury.
You're a really good guy. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Okay.
Look, Brett, all I'm saying is that he may like vegan burgers more than Tyson Fury. So
Tyson Fury goes vegan when he's dropping weight for fights. FYI.
dictator.
No, I didn't know that.
Vegan
So Brett, you
burgers.
could have a vegan burger with him when he's preparing for a fight.
He's already had your
Have I-
answer.
have I swayed
He's
you?
already
Go
answered.
away, it's my
He's already
answer.
answered, mate.
I love this. Like, we all just trying to persuade Brett.
I never get my points. That's why.
Okay,
Is that a full house? No.
No, I'll say yes. Go on.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be afraid to talk to people that have differing opinions from me. So I think it
Nice.
would be interesting.
yeah.
Can you
Yeah,
speak English?
I think...
I might have to learn his language, but
No,
I
I
think
think
That'd
it's
be
right because Dennis Rodman went and visited him a few years back, didn't he?
okay.
Serious?
Could
and
talk to him
Trump.
about when he met Dennis Rodman. There you go. I've got something to talk about.
I've been nervous because he'd be the same height as me, and
How was that Donald Trump?
eye contact, like, yeah. Yeah, I feel nervous just answering the question. I don't know what to say. I genuinely am scared. It's yeah, I don't know.
You don't know. You're just not answering.
I just, yeah. Jeff, as I'm too scared to
Jeffers, you
answer
better not
the
give bonus
question.
points for this, mate. Otherwise, I want to hunt you down. Like, I don't know. You might give him, Kurt's answer was my favourite.
No, I mean for Joel's
It
maybe,
might,
but I don't.
because yeah.
I don't know. It's long. It's a long-going thing on this channel. Okay, so I've got 3 here, and none of them have actually been said. So now I'm kind of.
Wait. Did you say yes or no for Kurt?
I said I'm too scared to answer. Genuinely too scared to
Come
answer.
on,
Well, I
man.
think
This
then
is
that
another
case-
Pizzagate, man. Come on.
That in that case, you shouldn't be able to answer. You've not taken part fully. You don't get an answer. So, guys, thank you for joining us.
All right, then fine.
No, go for it.
It'd probably be bad anyway. I'd lean to no, just because I'd be scared. I won't lie. Yeah. So 3 options. I don't know whether to say my 3 options until I actually just pick one first and then go with that one. I'm gonna hope this is a good one, and I hope it's yeah. I'm gonna say David Attenborough.
Good shout.
Just because I genuinely think the guy is a legend, and what he's done for our planet and what he offers us, he's just, yeah. He's made the world a better place, and he's shown us stuff that we would never have known about, and some of his documentaries are just A-class, basically. So, yeah. I'd say David Attenborough.
Good shout. Point from me.
Yeah, point from me.
Yeah, I mean, been showing the kids like Our Planet and stuff, and it's just a different feel when he's narrating, isn't it? It almost
Yeah.
gets you into it.
He's got that-
It's just a different story.
It's that voice, isn't it? Straight away.
It is
recognisable.
completely. You're like, they're not really doing anything, but the way that you're portraying it sounds like, the
Yeah.
best thing ever. So, yeah, for me.
Jay doesn't look impressed.
I'm more scared to answer this one.
Smile.
Because my wife's next to me, and I know what her answer would be yes. And I do think he's a legend, but I don't think I'd want to meet him myself.
Okay.
David Attenborough. Okay.
Get her
I'm safe.
involved, mate.
Yeah, no.
For what reason, mate?
I'm not
Yeah,
into,
what reason?
I'm not into, like, documentaries about nature, really. It's not, I much prefer crime documentaries, that kind of thing. I just don't think it would interest me to talk to him.
Really, like, not everywhere he's travelled, and not even just to sit and listen to his voice.
I don't watch travel documentaries
He's
either, so I wouldn't
answered your question.
Could you imagine him
At
in
least
Cox?
he got a full house of answers. Someone didn't answer my perfectly reasonable question.
Jay,
I said
Jay,
no
couldn't you-
because I was too scared.
Jay,
All
could
right,
you
it's a
imagine
no.
him saying, and these two perps have just gone in the bank?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, if
Doesn't
he'd
that
done
get
that,
you?
maybe my answer
You
would
could just
be different.
you could just have him follow you around and narrate your life. I mean, imagine
No, that
him
would be
narrating
annoying.
your
I don't want someone
FPL
narrating
video.
my life.
I would love it.
What about
This
I'd
guy's
have
sitting
him
there
narrate
making
my
graphics
FPL
for
video?
FPL
And
Can
Ray
you
videos.
scratches
imagine?
his ass.
Yeah, something like that. That'd be great.
This guy's
Yeah.
getting annoyed at his daughter.
And Nim is annoyed that Jesse Lingard was not a captain. This game.
This
And
guy
Brett
cares way too
changes
much
rooms
about
every week.
FPL.
So yeah, my other two, to see if I would have got a full house out of these two, just because I'm genuinely interested. The first one I wasn't sure about because I've met them, so I was like a bit like, would you like to meet them? Will I get away with having already met him? Which was Tom Hanks. So interested.
Wait. Where did you meet him? That's what more fun.
I met him at the Polar Express premiere. Yeah. So yeah, I was lucky enough to go to that and meet a few of the stars and stuff. So yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, cool guy. Yeah,
Who
I was
would the
a
other
bit
be?
nervous. I was nervous to say that one because obviously having met him, I wouldn't like to meet him because I already have, sort of thing. Will Smith.
Will Smith was my second option, so I would have said yes for that one.
Brett? Kurt?
I wouldn't have said yes.
Oh, we're answering these.
I'm just interested. Yeah.
Probably no to both.
No.
Ah, okay. So I probably went with the best one out of the three then. Cool. All right. Cool. Okay then, Jay. Would you like to wrap us up, buddy?
Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining the stream. If you have enjoyed it, please do hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And also go check us out on social media, Instagram and Twitter. It's FPL WildCats, where we will announce on Twitter when we are next going live for the next up-and-coming game week. So go do all of that. Links are in the description down below. Also, go follow everyone else as well. All of their social media links are there as well. And we'll catch you guys next time.
Spurs.